proper pronunciation. It's
Kutztown.
Kutztown, correct?
Cuts. I thought it
Because
was
we're in
Kutztown.
Penn German country down there, right? K-Town.
Lot
So
German, lot Amish.
let's officially launch the June 3rd, Thursday evening meeting of the New England Vintage Electronics Club, and it's show wrap-up stuff. We're going to talk about K-Town. We're going to talk a little bit, I told Bob, about our recent event up in Brookline, New Hampshire. So without further ado, I mean, you sound like you're already an old friend, so I don't even know why I bothered to introduce you. This is Bob Bennett, Mr. Radio Wild, who's a avid videographer of radio events and some other nifty videos on his YouTube channel, radio related, tube related, and the like. He's a made man, shall we say, in the New Jersey Antique Radio Club. He's a stalwart down there, been a member for a while, I take it, and takes in a good deal of their events and puts them on video and is always around with his action down in New Jersey. So Bob has posted a Kutztown video for every event I can remember. He's had something online within the day. He strikes while the iron is hot. So we thought it would be fun where we're kind of breaking out of the pandemic here to take a look and review the big meets down in Kutztown at Renninger's, but also talk a little bit about our meet. So without further ado, here's Bob Bennett. And Bob, what we thought we might do is, John, are you queued up there to share the Kutztown video?
Yes, and what I'm going to do, in fact, just before we get started, I just want to slip in a quick little bit of business announcement for just a minute or two. But then what I'll do is I'm going to try to share the video and see if this works out. And then also Adam Vaughan is also here with us, one of our members who was at Kutztown and took a bunch of photos. So just in case, so it'll be some nice still shots. He has a great set. I took a quick look at him earlier. So just in case the video doesn't work, we can always fall back to the still photos that we can walk through. And Bob, it'd be great if you gave some perspective and the commentary there. But before we do, I just want to slip in a quick announcement, more for the benefit of everybody, maybe more directed to Tom here. Is everyone's probably seen the messages from Bill Dunn about trying to get rid of a fairly large number of radios that were somewhat affected by the fire he had in his
close the window
house. I guess apparently all the radios are quite restorable and work, but they obviously have taken some amount of maybe smoke damage or other damage, but not irreparable. Bob Harris is, of course, is testament to taking one of his radios and bringing it to a beautiful state from where it was. And even in a space state, wasn't terrible. It was certainly more than restorable, but Bob really went in there and did a heck of a job. So I want to throw this over to Tom a little bit about the possibility. I think Tom was perhaps volunteering the possibility of bringing the radios, trailering them down, but it's more to see if we have enough interest to make it worth his trouble, because he would need assistance loading and unloading the trailer, and the goal would be to load once and not come back with anything. I think, Tom, maybe I should let you throw in your 2 cents, but I think that's really what the goal is. So it's where it gets solicit interest and see where people's thinking is here. But Tom, let me hand off to you.
Okay, I think it's important to hear what people have to say. There are 100 radios approximately, and that's an awful lot, and we don't want to have a whole lot of them left over at the end of the meet. My thinking initially was that I could throw them in my barn until the next meet and bring them over to the meet, but if there are only going to be 10 or 20 of them that find a home, it really doesn't make much sense. And he also has other people looking at it. So anybody has any thoughts on that, this would be a good time to talk about it. From what I've seen at our meet, I believe he went home with about half the radios that he brought last time. I'm not sure about that. Somebody can comment on that. And I don't think it makes sense to bring all those radios and end up with half of them to take back to a dump. Any thoughts on it?
Well, I guess I wasn't at the Great Southern New Hampshire radio giveaway, but if if promoted and you put this out there in front of the group, and maybe I guess I get the distinct feeling sometime that we put things in the IO group and only a small percentage of the members see it. So I could easily see, especially if it's a donation type situation. Tom, is that what we're thinking about? Like put some money in the jar, kind of like what Bill did when he was last there.
That's right.
So, if we have something like that and, it's put under everybody's nose that these can't leave, you've got to take them, please. And, it's your choice as to how much you'd like to pay. If the condition is either part set or restorable, I would think 100 radios is doable as far as, having them all walk away. But,
I can,
is that something we could take a poll on in the IO? I mean, we do have the ability to take polls. Maybe we could get some more feedback similar to what we did with the giveaway at Charlie's.
Hugh has something to say.
Yeah, I would. It sounds a little like we could handle it like the free table too, and maybe if a handful of us, raise our hands and sign up to split up whatever's left over at the end of the show, and just take care of it however we're going to take care of it, bring it to the next show or something. But anyway, split it up a bunch of, so it ends up, if 10 people sign up to do that, then we're talking 5 radios each, something manageable.
I could share the photos quickly. I don't know whether anyone has seen some of the photos Bill has sent, but I could quickly show. There's only about 10 or 12 photos tops.
You know what, John? Maybe we could do this. Maybe you want to buzz through the photos,
Yep.
and we kind of let people chew on that as we're having our talk tonight.
Yep.
And then we kind of cycle back towards the end and we see what, if anybody's thought anything up, or if, it looks like it's something we can do. And then we can go from there. If we have to take it offline, we can talk about it in the IO group a little bit more, or email, amongst some of the organizers, and then see if we can come up with a plan to get the word out to the, the membership.
Exactly. Bob,
all right. So why don't you buzz through the photos?
Yeah, I'll quickly do that. Bob,
Bob won't mind. He loves to look at radios. And
bring a U-Haul.
I can't get enough. Bring it on.
Do you have you can come up with a U-Haul. Rent this truck. He has enough trouble, I'm sure.
Let's see here. Oh,
that's a nice set. I like that tube glow.
Whoop. Sorry, that's
the glow from a rectifier.
What's going on here? Oh, wait, here we go. All right, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. Let's try this. How's that? Can people see that?
Well, yes. There we go.
Good. Oh, wow.
Okay, so here, you can see, I'm sorry, I just have to jockey my screen just a little bit so I can see you guys. So you have, in a quick nutshell, as you can see, they were in a quick look, you can see they're basically, Bill claims they are, states they're all, restorable, they've worked, they've been in various conditions, but you can see they're not so beyond hope here. But they probably have smoke damage and so forth.
I think that's the thing that Bill might run into when he mentions that they were in a fire, is that people fear the worst. But then when you see some of the stuff, you say, well,
Right. Exactly.
I mean, is it any worse than some of the stuff you might drag home anyway that you're going to work on, So, I mean, I think that's the question. And
that looks like what I finished.
Look at the, I mean, the dial alone starts to get me a little excited. So
yeah, it's really in, salvageable state. And here's some various,
oh, that's an Arvin on the left.
There's an Arvin right there.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Put that one aside.
There we go. It's got Bob. Bob, bring a U-Haul, please.
Put that aside. Get a name tag. There's a nice GE, I think.
Yeah.
It's an older, not sure which one this is, but looks, physically, well, the top looks maybe a little ragged, but
scorched.
The front looks
smoky.
Yeah. It's another photo of it. Maybe that could be the lighting because it doesn't look quite so bad.
Yeah.
Zenith, mostly all there. Looks like, again, it looks mostly a cosmetic. It's nothing serious. And we got a number of a variety of. I see something
like a big old silver tone, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Got some very old stuff. There's some speakers in there.
Fried Eisman.
Yeah, pretty unusual. Again, solid. Got a variety here.
And again, for the price of a donation to a jar, if you need knobs, you need a dial point. I mean, you go to buy these things on eBay or from people who part out radios. I know a guy who's held in esteem or dismay, depending on eBay, the Cat Man, who's a notorious parts guy. I mean, the prices you would pay for, I mean, you could take a tabletop for $10 and you know, you're going to do better than the Cat Man for shipping and handling and what he would charge you for for dial glass.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now. So
more consoles, nice Zenith portable.
Boy, it's a good thing I don't live that close to you guys.
Owl eyes there.
I'd be in trouble.
Well, John, could you just back up for a second? Could you back up one photo, please? Could I ask?
I absolutely can. Bear with me a second here. I just got to get my.
Because I saw something that it had a round dial, and is that wood or or is it a brass? It's kind of fuzzy, but that almost I thought it might have been a Catalan, but maybe I'm wrong.
It looks like a Fade almost.
Yeah, almost
I would tell you that's a Repro Fada is what that is.
Repro, okay.
Oh, is that?
You can
Bruce.
see the marker down by where the knobs would be. I mean, I can't guarantee it because it's fuzzy, but
yeah.
I know Bill enough to know he isn't leaving you a Fada bullet there. Okay.
Thanks, Bruce.
Good to know.
I'll temper my fantasies.
Let's see. And I do see this looks like a Telefunken, but I'm trying to tell which model this is. This is probably a European set, as in not US spec. But at any rate, but yeah, so I know that Bill does go for some German stuff from time to time. And I think that is the last photo from the set he sent. But you can see this just gives you a quick idea. Hey, there's tubes. Says you can just gives people a some thought here. Maybe. So
let's think about that as a collective group here as we recount our recent exploits.
Yeah.
Two major radio events that we want to chat about here. So
exactly. So we'll move on to. So I'm going to try sharing the video through my screen, and hopefully this will work out okay. So then, Bob, I will sort of hand off to you to our. Okay, here we go.
I wrote down a cheat sheet.
Okay, so let me know if people can see this. See the.
We're there.
I haven't started yet, but I'm going to fire it up, and I'm going to hand off to Bob here.
Okay. What I like to do is when I like to try to get at least a pan or two in for the people. There's a lot of people that watch this stuff too that are shut-ins that maybe are too old to travel to Kutztown or anything like that. And I like to try to get a pan of the parking lot and what it looks like or what the weather looked like that particular day to give them an idea of, and then they could usually tell by the amount of cars there what was going on. But I took these pictures rather early in the morning. I think I took these around 7:30 in the morning. But you still get a good idea. That's the other pavilion. Oh yes, I still had to wear my feed bag.
There he is.
So I'm just babbling away, telling folks, thank you for coming, and we're gonna take the camera around. My usual lines, and then my wife's holding the camera. And notice I'm wearing my Mr. Met hat.
Oh, that's a classic right there.
Yes.
What the heck happened there? Oh, we got stuck with the commercial, Bob.
Yeah, this is typical of YouTube. They go out and sell you something here.
Get rid of that thing.
You could try the full screen button in the lower right.
Yeah, I can do that for you.
Yeah, it would probably be a little helpful.
How's that?
Yes. I took a picture of this radio because I thought it was rather unique. You don't see a lot of S36As. So
That's nice.
I like to get the interesting things going on.
The funny thing about that radio is the frequency range is up to like 200 megahertz. It's
Yes.
called UHF.
Now, my wife took a bunch of pictures for me and she got this, and I'm really glad she did. That's an RCA single sideband transceiver. And up on top of here is a telefunken. I'm not sure if that's a transceiver or just a transmitter.
That's a receiver.
Oh, that's just a receiver?
I see those
Yeah.
very often.
German, overbuilt to German specifications. The guy was selling it for $1 a pound.
$1 a pound. That's 5,000 pounds.
He sold it too.
Really?
Yeah. I took pictures of it in the SSB set for my own photo set. So
Yeah.
Here's the main pavilion by the club table, and you can see by the amount of people, this was probably about right around lunchtime or so. It was actually busier than this earlier. And I just kind of I put some music
like
up that YouTube doesn't like using commercialized music, so they have their own music, and I put some music in behind some of these radios. These radios were done by a gentleman from Virginia. His name slips me, but it's not like actual correct restorations, but they're stunning. I mean, the paintwork on these things are better than what's on my car. It's amazing now.
Yep.
How the attention to detail is on his radio. He does the electrical restoration as well.
Wow.
So
Those
you want
belong
a
to
refrigerator
Tom
radio. He had
Harris.
4 refrigerator radios for $350 a pop. I had to get a picture of this because I own one of these myself. So I have a close personal relationship with Hammerlin receivers. I've always liked them.
It's a nice shape.
You could have had that for $90, which I thought was a score. This is a really, really nice breadboard, AK breadboard. The prices of these, I've noticed, have gone down dramatically. They used to be crazy money, like $1,500, $1,600. This one, I think, was $950. You'll see the price tag hanging from there. Yeah, $950.
Nice.
People always want to know the prices too, so I try to get the prices when I can. My wife took the picture of these, and none of these had tags on them, so.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, RCA had that Oriental Bakelite radio. I thought this my wife has got really good taste.
I have that
Warner
one.
radio. I thought that was kind of a cool looking clock radio.
I've got its 2-tone tan version, tan brown one.
Oh yeah. I found a couple of high tube RCAs. These were real nice.
It's a 9T. That's a nice radio.
There's a 9T, and then the one right behind is a 10T. Actually, the 9T was a little bit nicer than the 10T, and they were both the same amount of money.
Do you recall if those were restored, Bob? I'm hoping they were for asking this.
I think they probably were electrically restored. Maybe I would hope for that money. I
They
didn't
certainly
ask.
were not cosmetically. I remember seeing them.
Yeah.
and falling over when I saw the price.
This
was
is what
a
we
nice
do
day
after,
there, as you
after
can
the
see.
radio. That's right. It's a nice
Yeah,
day
you know,
at the
then
beach.
afterwards, my wife and I, we decided to go by the pool and have a Mai Tai and mingle with the yuppies, and then we went back to the radio event.
Well, it's southern New Jersey, so a lot better than Maine.
All right, back to the real video. I'm trying to skip as soon as I can.
There's a bunch of fellas there that are with the Jukebox Society, and they always have a real nice jukebox that they're either trying to raffle off or sell or whatever. And this was actually pretty cool. This is a 53
That is
AMI or AMI E80, and that was a 45 only machine. And I thought that was pretty cool, considering that the 45s didn't come out until 49 when RCA released the 45 RPM record. So that's not a big window to develop a jukebox. I thought that was kind of neat. And then there's also plenty of speakers if you needed some speakers. Yeah. There were spotty tables that had, this guy probably had the best table for speakers, and he snuck in an AK-20 underneath the pile of them. Now, I got to talk this thing up. This was really one of the strangest radios I've ever seen in my life. This was, I think, an export radio. It had 2 chassis in it. And I when I put up the video, I was wrong. I noted that it had 5 ballast tubes. It actually has 8 ballast tubes. And this is the same guy that had those nice restored Westinghouse refrigerator radios. And he had this radio on the bench, and he calls me over and says, "Bet you never saw something like this before." And then he shows me the book, and there's literally 2 chassis in there. You can see from the picture. It had 8 ballast tubes just for export, so they can, adjust it for, I guess, different voltages or different parts of the world. And it's just a real oddball radio.
Bob, decide to mute the video. I don't know if that will help a little bit with your discussion. You're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, then there was no auction Friday night, so I wanted to make a note of that. Now, Saturday morning, it was supposed to rain, like in buckets. So the amount of people that were there Saturday was probably about half of what was there Friday, but it was still pretty good for a Saturday, I'll say. So I remember going home that day, packing up, driving 2 hours home and unpacking my car. And as soon as I got the last box in the house, sky opened up and it just started to pour. I was like 4:30 in the afternoon. This is more like what you normally see. You go to table to table and there's loose tube boxes and loose parts, but I like to rummage through the parts and see what's there. But it's for looking at things like this. I know it's kind of a personal thing, but that's why I like to test and clean and make sure that the tubes are coming off my table anyway are good. So if you want to spy on your next door neighbor's wife when she's sunbathing on the deck, you could buy one of them.
You haven't seen my next door neighbor's wife.
Oh, she have a face for
I'm
radio?
not buying one of those.
She have a face for radio?
Yes.
Okay. And there's a lot of Philco fans here too. This is a table literally filled with different Philco table radios. So I had to get some pictures of it. I actually have a 42-345. That one that was poorly stained cabinet was a 42-350. And that had the early FM band in it. It was like a whole, it went from like 27 megacycles to I think 99 or something on that FM band.
Nice piece.
I tried to get this thing for the Philco followers.
Ah, that's nice.
Now I had an audio in the background which had the tick, tick, tick from WWV, but it was actually a spoof of WWV. So I have a close personal affliction to tube transoceanics, as you can see. That was actually a pretty decent deal for a G500, $75. And I thought this was a smoking good deal here. This is a 606G1 AM battery portable with the sailboat. And the guy only wanted $50 for that. I thought that was a more than fair number. This is an H500, $75. That's also a fair number. That is, unless the 1L6s are gone, then it's another story. Kutztown Radio Store is actually run by a gentleman that's actually part of the DVHRC. He's been with the DVHRC from the inception. He has a store inside the pavilion, not where we're at now, but there's actually a store pavilion on the opposite end of the property, and he's got a radio store in there where he actually does radio repair and stuff like that. So he brought out some of his pieces from the shop. And he's actually a real smart guy. He does great work.
That's
That
nice.
was a Philco 89. I like the looks of the 89.
Wow.
That's a nice radio.
And original finish. Wow. Nice shape.
Bob, did you see that very interesting horn speaker? It was at the end over by where the lady always has the knobs for sale. and it was a horn speaker with a little chassis in front of it that had one tube on it. It had to be a mid-20s audio amplifier. I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
I did not see that, but I know the lady you're talking about.
Yeah, it was just to the left of her. She's
Well,
great to deal with.
I got a picture of her from a couple years ago. She was actually wearing earrings that were UHF and VHF TV knobs.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of neat. These were real tone transistor transoceanic clones. And they're not a very good radio, but he had a couple that were in really nice shape and he was asking transoceanic prices, but I threw them in because I had never seen them or ever before. They only made them from, I think, 65 and 66. It was just a 2-year span.
Oh, here we go up another commercial.
There we are. You want to glue your bricks, drive your car over it. Glue your brick to your house.
There's nothing I'd rather do more.
Okay, there's some more bricks to glue.
Okay, back
Okay,
to
well, I'm ready to buy glue for my bricks. I'll buy some of that. Now, this I thought was the smoking deal of the event. This also came from the Kutztown radio store. I've never seen one of these before. This is an Atwater 1020, and it's basically what they use in most of the table radios, but it's got and that is the real clock, and the real movement actually still work. You want, I think, $240. You probably would have let it go for less than that. And I thought that was just a really, really nice, unique radio. Hey,
I know what it is.
Does anybody know what that is?
The Wimshurst machine
Yes.
generates static charge. Crank the handle. The disc.
I knew it was some kind of spark generator because I saw the Leyden jars on either side of that. And we have a gentleman in the New Jersey club that schooled me on the Leyden jars. He's actually a professor at Princeton University. And they were basically the predecessor to a modern day capacitor.
Yep.
So I figure my wife took that picture for me, and that I'm so glad she did. But I think that was just kind of like the epitome of the whole video to see that. So I just kind of roll some credits here while I'm still showing some other things going on.
Ah, Saba.
Yes.
There you go, John.
Yeah, that looks like a 300. I don't think it's the
It
price.
is a 300.
So,
$300.
The 300s are relatively pedestrian. Nice radio, but for a Saba.
I took a picture of that TV because I had that same TV as a child growing up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I was 12 years old. My parents bought me a 12-inch Zenith TV.
I don't think I had that model, Bob, but I had my dad worked for the Edison, and they had a company store. So for payroll deduction, I don't know, 50 cents a week, $1 a week, you get a TV. And I remember those little wire, those tubular wire racks with those clear plastic wheels.
Yes.
I don't know how they held up. I have no clue.
I didn't have the rack. I just had the TV. My wife took these. Rather interesting can of linseed oil.
Now, Bob,
and I don't know why she took a picture of that speaker, but it's an odd-looking speaker.
Now you've been there many times. How much do you find some non-radio stuff too? I mean, on tables? I mean,
Definitely.
I saw some telephones and some other stuff. So
you find telephones. You find hammer-related things most of the time. We had to wear these bands, by the way. When I drove through the gate, I had one for my wife and one for me, so they could identify, make sure that they knew where the cells were. And then they actually gave you that card. There was a little card there that showed the resistor and capacitor color code chart. So I actually I actually scored a couple of those charts. I got them hanging in my shop now. So,
John, all I can tell you is thank goodness you got that doctor with the banana out of there, because I don't know what the hell was going to go on next there. And that might be something we shouldn't be showing on a family
That was just
Zoom.
up to no good. There was nothing good was going to come.
No, nothing good was coming out of that. That's right.
So do we want to hand off to Adam to share his photo set so he continues?
Sure. I just have a general question. I mean, I should probably get somebody from the DVHCR to answer this. I wonder how many people come through the gate. You know, there's so many sellers, but how many, you know, for the duration of the event, you know, how many folks actually
I
walk
think
through?
that's a tough call because there's no, if you've never been to Kutztown before, there's no
haven't, so
fee
see, I
for a
don't know.
buyer. You can just like
Uh-huh.
literally walk through the gate and go on your
Really?
merry way. The only fee is to the sellers. Now I get 2 tables. My first table is $45, and then I get a second table, and that's like $10 extra.
Okay.
So it's $55 twice a year. And
So that's all you pay. You don't have to give a piece of what you sell or anything, right? Not like
Nope.
an antique barn or anything.
No, it's not like New
Cool.
Jersey where they grab me by the ankles and demand money. I'm on the other side of the river. They don't know where I am.
Well, if I had to compare it to something like Near Fest and the turnout they get, I would guess at Kutztown, probably 500, 700 people come through it. And there's a good, I'd say 100 vendors, Bob. You know,
Yeah, I
range,
mean,
everything from, you know, people in the business, as you saw, to just guys cleaning out their basement because they're moving.
I have a friend in the New Jersey club, and he was there. He had a horse trailer because he has a small farm, and he tows that around with a diesel Dodge pickup truck. And I was talking to him, and this guy walked up to him and saw all his tubes and tube caddies, and you know, now they're picking my brain. Well, you sell tubes, you know. He wanted to buy all of my friend's tubes, and ultimately he did, and he gave him, I think, $800 for the caddies were just really, they were in rough shape, but guy gave me $800 cash for all the tubes, and this guy was probably in his early 40s.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
You just don't know what you're gonna see. What did you buy? Anything? What did you bring home, Bob? Tubes? You buy some radios,
I
parts? What
brought
you got?
home a small pile of money, which was a good thing. I didn't have the time to really shop around. I was only looking for like, well, let me put it this way. I had a couple radios I wanted to get for selfish reasons. But I also had a written list that I was walking around with for doing restoration work or repair work I'm doing for other people.
Sure.
There was a guy that left me a Zenith Clock radio that he bought from his boss and for a song, and I was restoring that, and he was missing all the clock knobs and some other things. So I found all that there. And there's a guy there that's his name is Mike Costi, and he used to be the president of the
Gobs of Knobs. Yes,
Knobs
Mr.
of Knobs. Paul knows. Yeah, that's the guy.
I know.
And he's got knobs for everything: radios, TVs.
Who was the lady you were referring to with the knobs? Was that the radio pup?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's a nice lady.
Yeah. I was looking
She's
for a
fun.
knob for a.
I think they're from Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, they take a quite a long drive. So, but you know, I could only find like 3 things out of like the 10 things I was looking for, but it's 3 more than I came there with. You know.
That's
So
true.
it was okay.
That's true.
I mean, I'm looking for a Crosley console that's one of them big dial consoles. I really need the speaker because the speaker that's in this thing is to put on or whatever. I restored one of his other radios, right? It's stuff like that. It's like, well, maybe it's hit and miss. You might be able to find it. If I found something there for $50, $60, I probably would have bought that and brought that home and did that guy's radio. But
well, there's always the fall.
There's always the fall. Yeah. And I just got my, I was telling, I was here rather early, and I was telling John, and I didn't say anything to Paul, but I got vaccinated, my number 2 vaccination yesterday of the Pfizer COVID-19 drug. And New Jersey, we're kind of slow to get to the party because we have a remedial governor, and he basically, you know, where my wife and I kind of fell into the food chain to get our vaccinations. You know, we weren't essential people. We weren't doctors or nurses. You wouldn't believe the people who were getting vaccines before us. And then finally, you know, they got to our age group, and then we were able to finally go get our vaccination. So,
how you feeling today? Pretty good.
Oh, my left arm feels like somebody just like did a haymaker into it.
Wow.
Well, you sound your regular
other
self.
than that,
though, so
I'm not too bad. I'm a little bit slow, so you know, if I slur a word or something like that,
well, we'll have you back when you're at the top of your game. Don't worry about that. We'll bring Rich Lee on too. He can bring the radio rat, and
Yeah.
we'll do a big Northeastern radio powwow.
Well, I thought I saw John Cummer in here somewhere. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, he's,
And John knows me, so well, John's got his own table at Kutztown. John, how many people do you think were at Kutztown on Friday?
I estimate there was probably a turnout of close to 500 people, and I did very well there. Probably the best in, like, well, even though it was canceled one time, but in the last 2 years, I did my best revenue. I hate to put it in money terms, but I was very happy there.
Yeah, I think most of the sellers were happy.
There's a big contingent who usually turn out from the Philco Forum, and you know, there were some guys who either didn't, you know, for a variety of pandemic-related reasons, didn't want to, wouldn't go. But I could tell from the guys who were going, you know, this was the big breakout event for them. And so, you know, even though the turnout sounds great, you know, it probably could have been a little better. And you know, I bet the fall will be gangbusters down there. Well, thank you for narrating through your video. We appreciate it. You do a nice job, and it's a nice virtual 15, 17-minute little spin for those of us who can't make it down. So
well, thank you very much. I try to limit all my videos to 15 minutes, but sometimes I get a little bit longer. But I also understand that I have to come to the realization that there are people who actually have real jobs still. And, you know, they're not going to sit there and watch videos for 5 hours a day like, you know, retired people or whatever. I usually watch videos for about an hour, and then I, you know, eat my Chex Mix or whatever and move on with my day. But, but thank you. I want to thank everybody for the nice, kind comments and your support. And thanks to people like you, everybody here. Google sends me a check once a year for $100. So I couldn't get that $100 bill without all you folks.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Hey, if you feel up to it, do you want to stick around? We'll show you some photos of our last event.
Actually,
good deal.
Actually, Paul, before we hand off, you know,
yes.
Adam's got stills from Kutztown.
Adam, are you ready to share your screen, sir?
I am.
Mr. Vaughan. All right, take her away.
All right.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me enable. Sorry, Adam, it's all yours now.
Okay, let's see. See if I got this right. All right.
There we go.
Is that you?
That's my car, my tent.
All right.
Okay, let's see. I gotta think this full screen. Here we go. And that's where I camped out in the back 40. Got there. Well, technically it was early Friday morning, but well past midnight. And it was about a 6-hour drive from Massachusetts. And so I, you know, trucked on down. I usually get a late start for some weird reason, but I like to get there early and just put up my tent as quietly as possible, and then, you know, camp out, you know, wake up a little later in the morning, and this is what my tent and my car looked at like in the morning, and there were at least a few other tents in the field near where I was. And
you know, Adam, can I interject for a second? You know, where you pitched your tent was actually a very, very good spot because it was away from all the noise and the guys that were like doing beer and whiskey from Thursday night. You didn't have to listen to any of that.
Yeah, I think I got there after that stuff quieted down anyway. Well past midnight. There were at least a few other people in tents over there, including this guy who for some reason set up a cot near his, I think that was his van. But for some reason, he decided to sleep under the stars. Quite sure why with a conversion van like that, but whatever floats their boat. And now here's a shot of the parking lot. And another one. See all these cars. And here's Death Row.
Oh, no.
The big event on Friday night. I took a few. Here's more pictures of the cars and some of the crowd, and another one. And here's
probably worth telling the story of Death Row to people who haven't been to Kutztown. It's been controversial.
Yes, I do have more pictures of this coming up, where you can see people taking parts and whatnot off of the cabinets, and I've seen entire cabinets dragged away from Death Row. You know, it does happen that people rescue, you know, entire cabinets for their radios from this pile.
A stay from the governor.
Yeah, they get the reprieve.
Yep.
let me ask you this now. Does
Looks like that
the
one
stuff
on the
that's
right had all the meat taken off the skeleton.
Yes.
The piranhas.
So that's a carcass.
so does this eventually lead up to the bonfire?
Yeah.
The
Yes.
remnants of this.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
I
So
have
I'm
some- I have
following you
pictures
now.
of that if you want to see it, but I'll try to spare you most of it.
Oh, there's a little pyro in all of us.
There's a tearjerker part of the of our
Yes, it's a incandescent event, I would say. I mean, it's also, at least somewhat, worrying for us collectors, because I mean, we have these wooden radios around our houses, and if God forbid there were to be some sort of fire, well,
Don't say that.
you get an idea of what would happen to the radio when the fire reached it.
It looks like there's some good veneer over on the left there, a little curled, but
Yeah, there was I know Tom Scarpelli rescued several pieces of veneer, and I think other people were as well. So it was, it serves a purpose besides giving us entertainment on Friday night. I will say that much. But anyway, I will continue on. So as I said, another couple of shots of the line of cars near the pavilion, and a shot inside the pavilion itself. And here's a nice Scott console that someone brought in,
Oh yeah.
and another shot of it, a little lighter. Here's the shot of that jukebox.
Oh, that's nice.
Here's some boat anchors I saw near the entrance. And I said that SP would have been a real good deal, but I already have one. All right, I picked one up the fall before last, the last Kutztown before the dang thing shut everything down. So there's that in the HRO. And there's the S36A. Don't see too many of those around, I guess.
Well, you and Bob are brothers there. You're interested in the same stuff.
I take, as I said, I have a lot of friends who are, boat anchor people, so I take pictures of those. But I tried to take pictures of more normal radios this time around, because I figured not everybody wants to see these big metal monoliths.
That's Tombstone Row there. That's a nice looking shot.
Nice, some portables on the floor, and some behind the stack too. There is a whole bunch of oddball stuff, including a Betamax portable VCR setup.
Oh yeah.
And some 8-track players and a whole bunch of other electronic stuff. There's that watt meter picture of there. And there's a nice silver tone.
That is a nice silver tone. Amazing escutcheon. Those things are usually all shrunken and
Cracked and broken, yeah.
Yeah,
I was still one piece.
Yeah, my great grandfather had a similar silver tone radio that I grew up seeing the remnants of around in our basement. And the one we had the push buttons below the dial, and it was like a car radio where you press the push button and the needle actually moved to the station,
Right.
which I guess most push buttons didn't do.
Thank you.
But anyway, continuing. So some more table radios.
Oh
A couple
yeah.
of nice Zeniths.
It's a GE408
Little
there.
Philco there, the sharp looking one in the middle.
Yeah.
Emerson, at least one Emerson there with the green dial. Okay. Continuing. Nice tape deck, which I took a picture of for some reason.
Oh yeah.
And there's another one of the Wimshirts. I saw at least 3 of them there, and I took pictures of them because I'm weird like that. And let's see, there's a nice Macintosh power amplifier. Stereo nerds out there. Okay. And there's that this old Western Union self-winding clock you would have seen in train stations and whatnot back in the day.
We actually have a working version of that clock in our museum.
Yeah, I have a metal cased one on the wall here that I need to put a new set of batteries in it, but Ross Hofstrasser.
They used to get a signal.
Yep.
that at the end of every hour, you had this arm that would come in and make sure that the minute hand was pointing straight up, so it was accurate.
Yeah.
But since they don't have that anymore, one of the guys that's good at code made a little Arduino, and it's getting the signal. So ours has a little red light on the bottom, like where the lightning bolt is on this one. There's a red light, and when the red light comes in, you can hear a solenoid come in, and that arm goes in there, clonk clonk.
Yep.
Huh.
That's
But
cool.
those are really cool clocks. The guy who restored our clock did a really good job.
And just to think, there's probably some people who can't read an analog clock anymore.
Okay.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
That's official time. That's not just time. That's official Western Union time.
Yeah, some of them
That's
say
right.
like naval observation time or whatever.
That's right.
Okay. Continuing
Bologna
on.
watch time.
Yeah. I have one of those actually. Pretty neat. Anyway, continuing on. There's some stereo equipment and some more portables down on the floor.
And you can see Kutztown provides quality benches for everybody to use.
I mean, they look pretty heavy duty to hold that
They
stuff.
are pretty heavy duty. They've seen a lot of years,
Oh yeah.
but they're sturdy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
usually stand on the corner of one of mine that I have. There's an outlet that's close to my table, so I usually stand on the corner of the table. If you start walking across where those plywood sheets are, you'll fall right through the thing. It'll get ugly real quick. So I just stand on the corner, and then my wife's like this. So I jump back on the floor.
We want that in the next video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Radio Kutztown fails.
Yes.
Okay. Continuing on. There we go. Nice console stack I saw there. Well, the console with a early RCA TV stacked on top of it. Someone.
Okay.
What was the purpose of the big empty space in the bottom there, where the speaker would normally be?
You have you could
The
put a
speaker is
ceramic calf.
actually underneath the chassis. If you look at where the wood ends on the thing, you'll see some vents,
Yeah,
and the speaker
the
sits on
speaker.
top of that.
right. But what
And
did
they
you put
actually-
underneath? A vase, as somebody said?
Some people did.
A
I
vase,
decorative.
a ceramic cat, or
Okay.
chicken.
One of the stratosphere cabinets was like that, or you could put like a statue or
Yes.
a vase
Yes.
or something silly underneath it. for
Are your
decorative.
youngest for a timeout?
Yeah.
Our
Yeah,
previous
exactly.
club president, Mr. Mariotti, has several large ceramic figurines. I don't know from when they date, but he has put them in and around some of his sets to kind of enhance them. But yes, that was designed for some type of a
Interesting.
focal piece. Maybe it was to appease the wife that he
Yeah.
had a radio that large in a small living room. He said, well, this is really nice to look at.
Your uncle's ashes, you could put them there.
Oh, sure.
That's a good point.
Watch him bounce around when you turn the volume up.
Right. You always like to dance.
I had a great uncle who was an attorney, and he had a series of these ceramic figurines with that high gloss. They weren't from the 30s. I don't think they were from either the late 40s or the 50s. And he was very fond of that stuff. He later collected some. He used to go to one of the prisons here in Massachusetts, and he had some ceramics that the Boston Strangler apparently was selling. I said, why are you telling me these things? He says, well, he gets cigarette money if I buy a few things. That was his response. So I'm like, or you could put it in your radio. So pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Continue on. There's another shot of that Wimshurst machine.
A nifty fan there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that bill
Watch
is.
your fingers.
Yeah.
I wonder how many accidents those things led to. I can only imagine.
Yeah, so it's the old like the generally people, the parents would have seen the kid, if they saw their kids playing around near the fan, they'd just go, let him figure out for himself. That'll learn him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I triple dog dare you.
Yeah,
Today they'd be calling DSS.
right,
Well,
right.
Yeah, I'm sure it was UL approved.
Yes.
If the UL was even around back then.
I don't know.
All right. Continuing
It was
on.
a UL, but I forgot what they called it. It was kind of like the predecessor of UL. I forget the name.
Maybe it was GL for good luck.
Yeah, probably.
All right, continuing.
It was originally just for fire safety. They got into figure safety later.
Mhm. Some more.
They branched out.
Yeah.
Okay, more table radios here.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
more-
Bob got a few close-ups on that table.
Little box at the bottom.
Yeah, GE box. I didn't see that.
That's neat. Not sure which one went in there, but
Trying to decide what that radio is on the right side on the shelf.
could be. All right.
Little Zenith there, and the AM/FM is probably one of the last of the Mohicans there as far as the tube radios went.
Yeah.
That's probably
Oh, the
like
white
late
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
65, 66,
Yeah.
something like that.
That's probably right.
Yeah.
They don't sound that bad, surprisingly. I have a couple of
Zenith
those.
did a really wonderful job in putting their stuff together, except for the years after the war when they insisted on using rubber wiring for everything.
Oh,
Other than that, they were really good stuff. Although I'm sure that by then they probably had everything on a PC board anyway, like GE did. You know, they put all the tubes and everything on top of a PC board, and wouldn't take much to mess up a trace or something. Yeah, change a capacitor or a resistor.
They had these little, it was like a little metal slide-in chassis on some of those. So it wasn't really too bad to service. And at least it was still metal. You know, that was the good thing. But the little plastic pieces that were molded into the sides of the cabinet are notorious for cracking and breaking off, you know, the epoxy industry's favorite repair piece. But I had one that doesn't sound that, you know, I have a couple of those little guys, and they don't sound that. They're surprisingly sensitive. I pull in FM that I cannot get on, as we would say, a more modern and sophisticated FM radio. They just, you know, they might sound good, but they're deaf as posts. And the little Zenith will pick up some of the weaker FMers I got up here. Anyway, we digress.
When I was in high school, the last couple of years, I worked at a Zenith store, you know, little storefront, did all the repairs, and most of the Zenith stuff, they really designed it to be easy to get access for service people, particularly the TVs as well. That was their big thing, is that it would be easy to get at.
They did it just for you, George.
I'm happy.
Make your life easy.
All right, continuing on. That was a nice World War II transmitter tuner unit, which I think went with one of their
Oh, that's nice.
aircraft radios.
That is nice.
Some sort of PA amp on top for some unknown reason. Now that thing, I have
Oh boy.
no idea what that was, what it might have once been.
I think
National
that was
46.
a national.
National 46, I think.
I thought it was
NC 46.
that or something, but could
The
be.
front panel looks a little rough, but
Yeah. I've never seen the knobs, the two bottom chrome-like knobs on that, nor is that the tuning knob that I've seen on it. I had one for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell with all that rust.
Yeah.
All right, continuing on. That I have no idea what that was doing
where
there.
they made the popcorn.
Well, it's a vintage.
That's for the popcorn guy.
That's right. It's a vintage microwave.
There's
Yeah.
probably somebody who collects them.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah, the seals are probably all gone on the door too. So if you're 5 minutes in front of that, and you know you're guaranteed sterile.
as I told people, it is not radar equipment.
Yeah.
No matter what it says on the front.
You might be glowing when you walk away from it, but
Yeah.
it's a hell of an
You
oven.
can track aircraft with it.
Maybe. Okay.
Well, that was a Raytheon product line
Yeah,
for
it
many,
is.
many years. I mean,
Yes, yes.
I don't
They
know
were
if
the
it makes
original.
sense.
There we go. Another nice Hammerland boat anchor there. It's nearby for some reason. And it's old TV sitting right next to it. Whole bunch of phones.
Yes.
And then there
Those
were
are the good phones. When you could if you brained your husband with one of those phones, it's a 911 call.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's when you
Get
brought in
somebody
one
with
too
a
many
cell phone, you
radios.
don't even raise a
You can
proper
get it with
lump
the
on the
phone,
head.
and then you could still use it afterwards to call 911.
Yeah, but I don't think there was 911 then.
No,
You
it
dialed
wasn't. It was,
0.
Get me the police.
Nice solid construction.
That's right.
All right, continuing. There's I think that was an SX42.
Yep.
Nice Hallicrafters.
I like the way they did the dials on that with that sort of half
Very
moon
nice
look.
sets.
Yeah.
That's sharp.
Old TV,
Ooh.
old tube tester.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have it.
I bought one of those a couple years back from a guy for $40, and now we use them when we do a couple times a year. We have repair clinics, so we didn't have a good let's something we could test tubes real quick. So I bought the thing for $40 and donated it to the club, and it actually rests on top of a tool cart that has all the tubes and other miscellaneous weird parts in it, like resistors and volume controls and things like that in there. But they're quick and dirty. They're not all that accurate.
Yeah.
If anything, they're probably they've been toyed with at the store so that when you put your tube in it, it shows up being a bad tube, so make you buy another tube.
Right. Right.
Sounds about right. Here's another view of it. Nice close up of the panel with all the sockets.
Anyone find a good source for those grid caps?
There's got to be some I don't know, would have those. Mark off it maybe. Wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, continuing on. Another nice old boat anchor. Ray Cal. Other Hallicrafters of a different sort. With the channel 1 button. I don't see that very often with these early sets.
Oh, that's unusual.
I think that's a 7-inch tube in there.
Yeah.
There's a guy that lives out in Oregon that does a lot of radio stuff. I've been in communication with the guy through emails, and he just did one of these, I think, just before the pandemic. And he ended up having to find another picture tube. Obviously, it was with a brightener. It was still kind of tough to make it work right.
Yeah, these are interesting sets, electrostatic deflection and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, there were a number of sets like that at the show. Not all. I don't know how many of them had channel 1, but still interesting contraptions. Moving on. There's that receiver I was mentioning that was priced at about $1 a pound.
Wow. That's a monster and not often seen.
Is.
Not often seen.
Yep. I think their answer to, the company Roden Schwarz made what they call the EK07. Very, very similar design. And I believe that knob in between the 2 meters allows the set to test its own tubes without having to remove it from the socket.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, the wording on the controls is all in German.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Pretty neat.
And here's a
Imagine
photo
that. What will they think of next?
That thing could be used as an anchor for the Tirpitz.
Or the Bismarck.
Or the
Brought
Bismarck,
to you by
yeah.
the Hernia Doctors of America.
And look at how the antenna connection is buried. Is it buried? No, I guess it's on the exterior. I'm sorry. It looked, the way I was looking at it, it looked like it was way back in the chassis.
A couple of the modules have been removed in this photo, I think, because the guy wanted to cut down on the weight a little bit when he was carrying it in. So
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, I'm sure you had to use a loader.
Strong man.
All right, and here's that SSB phone. Or not sure what the history on that thing is, but
I saw it.
I
somewhere
thought
on
that
the
would
I
be
want to
cool
pick up
for
that
the,
receiver and call somebody. I want to I want to speak to somebody.
I thought that'd be cool for the Friday morning net.
It only goes from 3 to 15 megs, so anything in that range, you're golden.
Yeah,
Call the bullpen.
Yeah, right. Golden bull.
Yeah, there we go.
all right. Next shot. There's another giant tube tester that was sitting nearby.
A Weston.
Yeah. Hmm.
It looks like a whole lot of confusion.
Yeah. That's
It
an
gives me a
eyeball.
headache
It's
just
an
looking
eyeball.
at that.
It's the antithesis of the drugstore one that had a socket for
That's
every
exactly
different
what it
pin
is.
out.
That's right.
So you didn't have all the selector switches.
Yeah, pretty much. That's
imagine wiring that drugstore one.
Mm.
so this is the sort that the TV repairman would have had in his shop, and the other one what you would have found at the drugstore.
When was the last time you can remember seeing a tube tester, drugstore type or department store type in a store? What's
In
your
the
last
60s.
remembrance? In the 60s?
There
I'd
was
say
one.
late 60s.
There was one in the local electronics shop that's about 4 miles from here, and they moved about 2 years ago. But I think it was 2000 up to about 2002, 2003. They literally had an upright drugstore tube
Amazing.
tester
Wow.
in the
Wow.
shop.
Holy smokes.
So
think
I can remember fairly vividly testing tubes. This is probably a local chain, if it rings a bell, at a Mammoth Mart in Dedham as a kid. This would probably be in the 70s. They still had, I don't know where they got it. I mean, Mammoth Mart used to be, I think, King's department store. You know, it was just stuck in a corner. And strangely enough, they did have a small little, no, there wasn't anything special in there. There was just some of the commonly, especially some of the small, the 35 W4, that, the 35Cs, and they had a few tubes, and I can remember the thing was still, who the hell knows if it was giving you any type of, reliability. I mean, the thing probably hadn't been serviced in years, but, Mammoth Mart, oh my God.
Yeah. That to me is probably the early 70s before that some local electronics store had it. And I think by by
Yep,
the
they
early
all
mid-
vanished, and
bye-bye.
they're fairly, there are people who like them. They put them, if they have a big enough space, they love that thing in their room.
Oh yeah. They're
That
kind
had to be a
Well-
New England thing. They didn't have that around here. We had Radio Shack and Lafayette.
Right.
That's about it.
yeah. Yeah. My father went and spent a lot of time in Lafayette, of course, Radio Shack as well. Yeah.
Did
But
they
there-
have
there were
testers
some-
in there?
I don't remember, but they had some mom and pop stores. There used to be a place like just down the highway from me, about 6, 7 miles away. And they closed up about 10 years ago. It was called Disco Electronics, and
Oh.
it was owned and run by this ornery old guy, and he liked me, so I didn't have a problem. But I saw him go. Like people would go in there and want to hook up a car stereo or do something really dopey, and ask the guy a whole bunch of stupid questions. He just pretty much do everything except throw him out of the store. It was kind of entertaining to watch.
Actually, Lou, I think Lou's on the call. Lou worked at Lafayette. I wonder when, Lou, how long do you guys keep your tube tester in Lafayette, or did you have one in your store in Albany? If we still have Lou.
Maybe he's gone to the loo.
Well,
Pun.
anyway,
The cheap pun is just, I can't resist.
Yeah.
And the hits just keep on coming.
Why don't we just go to the next slide, Adam,
All
before
right,
it gets
you got
worse?
it, you got
Keep it rolling, kid.
Speaking of tubes,
Oh, there you go.
transmitting type. The guy had sitting nearby. I'm like, I'm guessing that tester can't test that thing, at least without a little
Hmm.
No, probably not.
pokery. I have no idea what kind of tube that is.
Never seen that one.
It far removed from your average 3500Z or 572B or whatnot.
Packed for shipping.
Yeah.
Shipping.
Yeah.
All right.
Next, more boat anchors.
There you go.
Another SP R388. Not sure what those ones off to the side were. Handed
I
out.
think, I think those were power supplies. I remember looking at them.
Could be. Okay. There's an old HP oscillator.
Oh, yeah.
Those are always useful. And those lovely painted radios from the gentleman in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah, those are beautiful.
I think he probably uses like auto spray paint equipment to get that type of finish. I've seen a few
I
people who
asked him,
do
and
that
he
type
has
of thing.
he has like a compressor and a Binks gun, and he's got all he's got access to a paint shop where he can have like a pint of something mixed up or wherever. It's
Sure.
all computerized.
Yeah,
He
I
can,
mean, at
like-
least if you're gonna do it like that. I mean, sometimes you'll see these, they call it the distressed look, and it's a very apt name. You see somebody with like a can of that grayish whitewashy look. They spray it on wood and say, "Oh boy, doesn't that look nifty?" At least this guy, look at that shine.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Nice.
But he claimed when I was talking to him about those Westinghouse refrigerator radios, those were the correct colors supposedly that they came in. They had the white, the black, the green, and the turquoise. So he says he actually matched the paint on them. The other ones you don't care about really.
What's that piece that goes in the middle? Is that a brass? Or is that painted? It looks like he painted that part.
Well, it's actually a piece of metal, but it was originally painted gold, and he redid it.
Yeah, I like the turquoise. Is very, very 50s. I like that.
Oh yeah, it just pops. So
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Wacky green one right there. It's just.
But that's the same guy that had that radio with 8 ballast tubes in it, that Air King.
Oh, okay.
There it is. You can see it to the left.
Yeah,
Yep, the guy's got his hand
That
on it.
guy's got his
That's
hand
it.
on right there.
Plus
Don't
an
touch
iTunes.
my
That
radio.
thing's that's just a freak.
Yeah.
And so that was what was it they call back in the 30s, Cadet and all those other companies did stuff like that where it was just they'd sell like a 20-tube radio, but at least half of them were ballasts. And Midwest, of course, had their 18 and 25, 30 some odd tube consoles. Even Zenith got in on the fun with the Stratosphere.
More tubes must mean more better.
Yep.
More money.
More
money.
One thing that the DVHRC did, and I didn't put it in any of my well, actually I have it in an older video, but they used to have a refrigerator they would put a keg of beer in.
Yeah.
For at night. And what somebody did was they painted on the front of the refrigerator what looks to be a Zenith Stratosphere.
Pretty
So
cool.
I'm looking at this thing, and my wife, I said, "Whoa, where the heck did they get this from?" I walk up to it, and all of a sudden I see the handle on the side. I see the lock. Whenever they throw the keg in there, they can lock it up. So I said to the president of the club, I walked up to him. I said, "So what is this? Is this for Stratosphere?" The Stratosphere. I said Stratosphere. But that was just a really cool thing.
Maybe it was some Yingling. That's the favorite down there.
I love Yingling. I drink
Hopefully-
Yingling here.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be back in the fall with just grilling.
I bought a case of Yingling when I was down there and brought it back.
You see it around up here. It depends where you go.
Oh yeah.
They're trying to go
Already-
national.
Oldest continuous brewery in operation, I guess, in the United States. So they say.
They sell it in Massachusetts, but you can't get it up here in Maine.
Interesting.
Really?
If you ever wanted to tag that on to a trip down there, apparently they also, they probably stopped them, but hopefully we'll restart them. I think they do like a brewery tour too. They're in, I believe, Pottstown,
Yes.
and they do a nice job of it. I know a couple of people who've gone through and done the tour.
Black and tan is really good.
Oh,
I brought back a 12-pack of that.
we digress, but that's okay.
That's all right.
And does not live by radios alone.
That's
There-
true. Very true, Larry.
Spoken from a wise president.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, so we go out like Vikings with helmets and burn scraps of wood and drink Yinglings. It sounds all very, very ritualistic to me. I'm a little scared. You have some more photos there?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
Yes, I do.
You're prolific.
It's an old early stereo receiver by Trio, which would later
That's
Kenwood.
Kenwood, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Trio Kenwood.
Ah,
Think that
Nicely
you
laid out.
not very seen very often.
No. 71.
That's kind of a rare puppy. You got AM, FM, and shortwave on there.
Yeah. That would have been a fun one to play around with. I don't know if it was at all working, but I'm pretty sure they wanted a lot of money for it.
It's Japanese. It probably works.
Are those tuning indicators in between the two dial scales?
I think those are meters. I've seen some
Meters,
of them.
okay.
Left
Right and
and
left,
right.
I
It says
see,
left
okay.
and
I've seen
right,
some
so
of
it
them with
might be
iTunes.
it
I
might
get
be
it.
something with the output, maybe because it's stereo.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know if it has the eyes on them. Some of them did, I think.
So this is Earl, where you'd have an AM station and an FM station like CRB used to do.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah,
for
that's
left,
it.
for left and right.
Yep. FM AM stereo, they called it. And looks, I said, I'm guessing this, I don't know if this one does multiplex as well, but
That's
No.
unusual.
yeah. Fortunately, that flywheel looks like it's getting a little bit of pot metal disease.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
it's-
geez.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, well, that's how it goes.
The
Just
other
call
side,
Kenwood. They probably have them in stock.
That's right.
There you go.
the other side looks good though.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that one's clean.
Interesting.
Yeah, they can seal that one up. All right, continuing on. Some more stuff. Some old VHS.
That was my first 2-meter receiver. Well, the second. I had a tour first, but then I upgraded to that.
Bendix.
Hmm.
Here on top. Pretty neat. All right, and this SX25.
Oh,
For $30.
oh, that poor thing.
That's got 6v6s and push-pull on the audio.
And lots of Dymo labels.
Yes.
You know, he painted it himself.
Yeah.
Very well be. Okay, let's see what
I
that-
used to have one. I felt guilty and sold it when I got my SX28.
They're nice radios. The first radio I restored.
that one, and then we got some audio equipment on this table. Some German radios.
Yes, we do. Telefunken to the right. Blaupunkt Granada next. The one at the end is a Emud. Senior 60. The one second to the left, I'm not so sure what that is.
Let's see if I can zoom.
Let's see if we can get a little closer because that one is not jumping at me.
Viola.
That's not a common one, that's for sure. That's why I don't recognize it.
You better get down to Kutztown.
I guess so, but the Gavoda,
Hey, wait a minute. Who's the guy with the feedback over there? The Mets hat.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Hey, there he is.
why didn't you get that radio for John?
I know.
That's funny. Yeah, they're
Next time. All right, let's continue. Some white van speakers. Yeah,
Made in USA. Oh boy.
supposedly.
With a box. What do you-
Pinnacle of quality. Someone actually bought them, I think.
Well, that's what usually happens at these types of things.
Yeah. I mean, these are the sort of speakers that a guy pulls up in a parking lot in a white van. Hey, we got a whole bunch of speakers left over from the install. We'll sell them to you cheap,
That's right.
and they're junk. All right, continuing. Nice breadboard set.
No.
There were a few of them over there. Right. Oh, come get back here. Get back here. There we go. All right. Let's go to the next one. Nice NC100 class set.
Was that pith helmet wired? Was that a radio hat, or is that
Oh,
just
I'm not sure what that was. I'll get to that. in a-
Dr. Livingston?
Adam,
yeah.
is that the NC NC 100 where they had replaced all the tubes with miniatures?
I'm not sure. It still has the eye tube, which I'm pretty sure is not a miniature.
Right. Yeah, obviously, but you opened it up. I think the sign up top says it had been upgraded to miniatures, and you opened it up, and it just was the weirdest looking thing.
Yeah, could be. Whoops, get back here. Look at that. Get that.
That's a 101, not a 100.
Okay. Still an interesting contraption with the PW dial.
Yep.
All right, continuing on. There's a TBY set. World War II era, I think. And that was a B&W transmitter, which someone had under their table, and I took a picture of the guts of it for some reason. And some IF decks from an R390A, plus some.
Where's my clicker? I knew I lost it.
You know,
Thought it was in
It's
the
a
couch.
2-power clicker.
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
probably got more power in it than either of these.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, next we got some more communications gear, plus some.
Some nice
More-
pieces hanging in the back.
it's like a nice slant Philco there, and
Yeah.
I like that
That's,
set down on the left. Is that a pilot?
Look who's in the picture. I talked, that's Paul. From Granby, Connecticut. No, go over. Other way. Go
Okay.
He's usually on the call. Paul.
Oh, Shive? Shive?
Doesn't sound right. I may be right on Paul. Yeah, but he's in his basement with a whole bunch of radios behind
Oh,
him.
because of the T. I know you're talking about. I can't think of his last name. Yeah.
Yeah. He goes to Kutztown every year, and
He's
he had good prices on that stuff.
he's a big Heathkit guy. In fact, we're gonna do a Heathkit prezo at some point this year.
Okay.
Man, I gotta go, Rob. I gotta find his email address.
Now by Friday at about noon, there were a couple of the Cleggs there and that big table model radio on the left. The 75A1 was gone. The Hammerlin was gone. You know,
Yeah, I'd
he
love
had-
to know what that big dog is there with the tuning
Yeah.
eye.
I
Oh,
know.
it was a
I'm-
beautiful
my eyes-
radio.
I'm focused on that too. That's very nice.
I think he had $50 on that.
You got to be kidding.
Don't
Wow.
hold
You
me
know,
to it.
if I had to
because-
go on, I think it's a pilot, but I'm not sure.
It's absolutely a pilot. That is a pilot. I have one.
There we go.
If I could, so my comment to Larry last week was if I could only fix things as well as I can ID them,
Yeah, I saw that.
I'd be at the apex of my hobby.
That's funny.
Oh God.
All right. Next up.
How many pictures did you take, Adam?
Over 100, and then I picked.
My goodness.
I wonder what happened to him.
Yeah, I was playing the same thing.
Not sure what he was doing there.
Boy, he must have had a rough night drinking all that beer. He's going to.
Yeah, he was down with the whiskey and beer guys
Yeah.
down on the other side of the campground.
Okay.
He went
He
over to the
slept
dark
under
side.
his cot.
Well, I think he's meeting his father.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's that pith helmet.
Nice.
No
So
sign
what's
of
up with that?
But it's a nice condition
Yeah.
if you're in collecting pit hats.
Yes.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It looks like it's plastic, or it doesn't look like. I mean, a pith helmet. I would think of it as like a cloth thing, right?
Metal, isn't it?
Metal.
No, you're right.
You know, there was, and it was on a cover. I don't know if it was one of our newsletters. It was on somebody's newsletter, and it was featured on the cover of an old radio magazine. There was a helmet similar to something like that, and it was kind of,
Yep.
you know, and it was rigged up as a radio. It had tubes and an antenna and all that, and that was for the real aficionado, of course. You know,
Nothing like
something
walking
that.
along with a regen in your ears.
Right, looking.
Well,
It's
you
the
buy that-
precursor to the tinfoil hat. You know, you're looking for the.
You buy that and put it
Thunderstorm.
on in case any of those cheap Chinese satellites fall out of the atmosphere or
That's
whatever.
right.
You keep
That's
that
right.
on.
There you go.
That's
Well,
right.
that was for wearing near the radar range.
Oh yeah. With a free lead apron.
That's right.
All right.
pick up chicks for that thing.
It's a bay magnet.
Plus, you can tell them you're sterile.
Got tapes.
Right.
Who's got the tapes?
More stereo equipment.
Plenty of
Fresh from the yard sale.
Uh-huh.
Well, you know, I sold an old Sony tape player, and it was nothing fancy. I don't even, you know, I mean, I think I got it at Leechmere. I sold it to a friend of mine. He was moving to Maine, and this guy probably has over 500 cassette tapes, you know, and the thing ran pretty well. So, you know, I lubricated it a little bit. I mean, to this day, this is probably 15, 20 years ago. Thanks for that tape player, you know, because you can listen to him, you know, I mean,
Yep.
and he's hyped, you know, so I mean, for the right person, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
the motors are good, and you know, the belts aren't bad, and
Yeah. I mean, I saw my Panasonic boombox from 1984. The cassette deck still works like a champ.
yep.
All right. You on? So some radio junk on someone else's table.
Casey Guinness.
Got an AK 55 or 60 chassis.
Needs some restoration.
Yeah. A little bit of elbow grease.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an old radio direction finder set.
Interesting.
And some shirts.
Yeah, that's Rudy, the guy that sells those shirts.
Yeah.
He's got a good selection of shirts.
All of everything. Zenith and RCA and Philco and shirts. All right. Here's a Scott chassis.
Oh, yeah.
800B, I think. And I have no idea what this was. I dubbed it the Electrocutioner. The Variac there, some lovely knife switch, old Edison fuse, and a light socket with a. I think it's a light socket, and then got the cord with a very well, you know, there was a light bulb socket on the end of the cord. Don't know why.
Somebody's capacitor reformer.
All I know is I wouldn't want to put my fingers anywhere near it. And okay, so there's a quote unquote Predicta someone had. A lot of money for it.
That must have sold because I don't remember seeing that.
Maybe. I don't know. It stuck around there for a while. I think I took these.
Okay.
These pictures are probably late morning, early afternoon.
Okay. I got there about noon. Or about 11, I guess.
Can
Hopefully
you imagine how many people that used to have to work on those things that probably quit their jobs to go scrape up dead deer off the side of a highway because it's such a pain in the neck to work on? I mean, think about it.
Well,
I mean, they're a great looking TV, but man, when you start getting into them things and all the cables and stuff that were in there, oh, no way.
That's funny.
That was just TV hell right there.
Well, this was a little different. This is this is one of those modern reproductions from the early 2000s that it was, you know, you go to predictive.com and they're still offering, and you still see them on there, though I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
The color set.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's right. Color Predicta.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
that would be, you know who would love that? Probably the gamers.
Hmm.
You know, those kids that love to have old CRT TVs to play their games on.
Especially one that's as cool looking as a Predicta.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could steampunk it. And
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
already
Truth be told, Carl, that happens more often than we prefer.
yeah.
All right. So here's the DVHRC club table with Peter working on something. There's nice little repair bench, and the radio transmitters for the, you know,
AM and FM.
Kutztown station. Okay. There's, I don't know, this little timer thing that I ended up buying for some weird reason.
$5, how could you turn it down?
And there's some nice radios from this gentleman that always sets up near the club table. Some audio equipment he had for sale.
Yeah, the gentleman's name, by the way, I was having a senior moment. The fellow that has that store, his name is Louis.
Ah.
So you can't miss Louis. He's kind of an older guy, and I don't know if he quit smoking or not, but I know he used to smoke quite a bit.
He's a pretty good selection of stuff.
But Louis is really good at, he knows his stuff as far as repairing things, anything.
So more boat anchor type stuff. Sky Buddy, another one of those tuning units mentioned earlier. There's some battery radios in the background for some weird reason. Okay. I see a lot of battery stuff.
Yeah.
Lots of tubes and parts on the ground. And this,
Aha.
contraption.
How unusual.
Yeah. You know, basically for, here's the back view. Well, there's some books that were nearby. I also took a picture of waves, of course.
Quite a variety.
Yeah, some, you know, old reel-to-reel tape recorder they had for sale.
Wow, unusual. Not something you see.
Those were really popular among singers. Actually,
really?
Yeah, I think they're full track.
The three heads on it.
Yeah.
Not something you see very often in the typical world.
Yeah, the ones I think are really cool, if you ever seen them, the Nagra SN, which was, they call it the spy recorder. It used 1/8-inch tape on these tiny little metal reels. And you'll see movies. Like, you know, you'll see the spy will have one hidden.
Oh.
So.
Yeah.
Wire recorder.
Yeah.
Here's the back of that set super heterodyne trainer.
Oh, okay.
United States Coast Guard Reserves for training the cadets on the ins and outs of radio. There's lovely electrolytics right there. You see the tubes inside. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, another table with some little radios. Cola cooler.
Nice bride.
Yeah.
Spartan.
Yeah, I took a picture of that too. 2 pictures because it's hard to take a good picture of it.
Yeah, they reflect a lot. It's hard to get a shot of those.
Yeah. There's the tube sign right there, the RCA tube sign right, clock right there.
Oh, yeah.
The other stuff that was on that table. Putting that light up speaker right there. It's a pretty nifty item.
Oh, yeah. It's an interesting variety of things back there.
And this old movie camera, which was nearby.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I think that's 16 millimeter. I'm not 100% sure. Pretty cool, though. With the case. And our own Tom Scarpelli. Tom, he sold quite a few of the radios that they had that he had to sell, and quite a few tubes as well. A whole set of tubes, actually. Near the end of the show, he found someone who was willing to give him some money for the rest of what was left. That's cool. Nice Zenith console that was nearby.
Yeah.
That's a nice one. That's a 12 tuber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably a 471 or whatever.
Yeah, it looks in pretty nice shape.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of bottom work, and that's it.
Another table with some radios and phones and clocks. A shot of it for some reason. And a close-up of one of the clocks, because I'm weird like that. And some more radios. And those speakers, horn speakers.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy that sells a doohickey that allows you to play modern audio sources through these old things.
Oh, okay.
Whoever would happen to want to do that. And here's the jukebox playing a record, or trying to. All right. Show.
Adam,
the end of
which
the-
show was this? I just got on. Which show was this, Adam?
Oh, it's a Kutztown.
Kutztown show this past last month.
Oh, okay.
Another shot of that table. Got done billing out a bit. There's an outdoor cellar that's. Fortunately, there was only one this time around. Usually, there's like 2 or 3 of them in the gap between the the entrance building and the grill shack. A shot of these various wares. And I think that's it for the show. The pictures I took on Friday.
I wonder if that trombone is AM or FM.
Oh, okay. This is the other pavilion now.
I know I was being a wise guy. Is that trombone AM or FM?
Good question. I didn't ask the gentleman. All right. So now entering the other pavilion. We got a nice R392 receiver. Those who love their boat anchors slightly compressed and able to be mounted in the back of a Jeep.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, some old stereo equipment. Old Advent receiver. You don't see these too often. Here's the guy, more of the gentleman's table there. Another Advent back there, and a lot of stuff there. A couple of turntables. Some more stereo equipment nearby. Record changer. Tube gear right there. Okay. That. A fare box from a city bus or something.
Yeah.
No idea what that was there, but floats their boat. Okay, another Macintosh tube amp. The other one was solid state. This one's tubed. R390A, big giant boat anchor. Another Wimshurst machine.
Yeah.
So the second of 3 that I saw, different ones I saw there. An old payphone without a dial on it. Pick it up, get the operator, make the call, and then put your change in.
Right.
Collins receiver. McMurdo silver chassis. Lots of chrome.
Indeed.
Nice RCA early color television.
Oh, yeah.
Which was working from some of the pictures I've seen, other pictures. Some more old table sets.
Oh, yeah. Quite a variety.
Nice Philco console.
That's nice.
Oh, with the mystery control.
Yes.
Yeah, huh?
Better shot.
That's
There it is.
nice. That is nice.
You don't see those very often.
No.
No squat, no squint. And it's got a remote. There's one of our boat anchor type thing, B&W transmitter. Some other stuff around it. And another old clock.
That's a Telecron.
Yeah. Right in here, made in Ashland.
That's right. Right down the street here.
Cool.
That's my town. That's their claim to fame.
Yeah. I need to see that the building there. They refurbished that a number of years ago, didn't they? Got the
They
clock.
did. They have a nice neon sign, for Telecron. It's
Cool.
nice way to remember to.
Oh, there we go. This looks like a Hammond.
It is a Hammond. I just scored it at a little flea market thing in New Hampshire.
Very
It
cool.
works too.
Yeah, that's one of the ones with the those had spin start movements.
It did, just like the organs that followed them.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know,
Cool.
Telecom had
Very
the
cool.
patent on the self-starting synchronous motor. So all Hammonds and other clocks had no, you had to give the knob, a little knob in the back. You had to give a spin to get it running, which, I mean, it's handy after power outages. So you can tell if the power has gone out and the clock isn't right because it isn't running anymore. And the telecrons, of course, they would just start right back up after a power outage. So they put that little reset signal on the dial. Tell you, oh, time's not right. Power's been out. You got to reset it.
Yeah, that must be one of the upper end models because most of them didn't have that. That's pretty cool.
Well, that one actually, that's the one pictured is actually one of the early Telecron models from I think the late 20s, early 30s.
Okay.
Big wooden box ones. I
guess looking at this, the price is not completely unreasonable for the age. And
yeah, I was tempted to buy it. Unfortunately, it was missing the back of the box. I'm not sure what happened to that. It should be it should have been a box. That's just the front thing.
Yeah.
I guess someone flush mounted in the wall or something.
Yeah. Cool though.
Yeah. A lot of those are still running.
Time for the speed slideshow, Adam.
Okay, I'll speed it up. There's a nice old Pioneer tabletop stereo someone had. Some more stereo equipment. Old field phone. Clock radio.
Atwater 1020.
I don't know. That number doesn't sound right. The 20 was the 3-dialer.
I'm pretty sure that's what it said on the video.
Okay. I'll
tag.
See if I can find it. It looks like it might be like a 70 or something.
I had never seen one like this ever.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, 20 was a little table 3-dial TRF.
Yeah, 20 was the 3-dial. The standard model 20 was a 3-dialer with 3 separate knobs. So that one's got an actual dial on it. So I don't know. Anyway, now the shot. And we've got some test equipment. And we've got more various test equipment boxes and radios and things. Nice big stack of table radios.
Big stack indeed.
Test equipment.
Yeah. So and a couple of radios in between.
Battery set there on the end. Not sure. Nice Hallicrafters transmitter. More wooden radios. Plastic radios right nearby.
Wow.
One on the end. More communications gear. You see 312 or something right there, and a Sky Buddy and some more stuff. More communications gear, a little newer. 10 Tech transceiver.
Argonaut.
Yeah. Hallicrafters in the late 50s. Hallicrafters a little earlier on, yes, 20. Some Collins gear, bagged up for some reason. Some weird piece of test equipment. No idea. And this crazy 4 stereo with the color organ built into the front there.
Wow.
Flashing away with the sound. Groovy.
That is.
Speaking of groovy, some nice.
I remember those.
Dynamite 8. One of those came home with me because I'm weird like that. and a Panapet there. Those are nice. Okay, some more communications gear. Big Dynaco stereo 400 power amp. Another view and another national receiver of some sort. Whatever that is, 188. More communications gear and a trailer out in the old RCA long wave receiver. And some Hallicrafters gear with a RME in there. Some Sansui stereo equipment. Old RCA TV console.
Pretty nice shape.
Yeah. An old Woody station wagon out in the back for some reason.
Ah, with the Lee press on wood.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the good side of it. The other side didn't look quite so nice.
Oh,
But anyway, so picture of that for some reason. No idea what that was doing there. But
Well, it's important to know, just in case. Oh, that's a Telefunken Sonata. I see the guy
yeah,
leaning against. That is, that's a nice piece of some nice wood there he's about to say goodbye to. And there's a chassis there still tied to it.
I think that got rescued.
Oh, good. Maybe that man's taken away. That would be very sad.
Yes. There's the fire pit.
Oh.
And they got things going before dark.
Oh.
That was just with the kindling, I think. I don't think they'd actually thrown anything in there.
Oh, okay.
But wasn't too long before we got a crowd gathered around the watch the proceed. Another shot of the death
Victims.
It looks like the Telefunken did go.
Yeah.
I don't see it there.
More stuff in the pit. Just scraps, I think. There's a 20s cabinet placed face up for some weird reason. There's another shot of the crowd. Speaker
That guy looks like he's having a good time.
Yeah. Went quite nicely.
There's quite some fire shots there, Adam.
Yeah. I won't show you all of them because that's probably a little bit too disturbing for most of our viewers.
Yeah, it is a little it's sad. Everyone has to bow their head, you know.
But I got a question. Which radios burn the best?
Generally, I'd say probably the Zeniths and Philcos, you know, like the late 30s, early 40s, when they, you know, because 20s radios were generally built like they were actual furniture.
yeah, but the $3 boxes were probably really dried up by then, you know, and they've had a lot of years to dry all the moisture out of that wood.
Yeah. I mean, the 20 sets, as I said, they you know, they were built like real furniture. So those took longer to really start going. But once they did, they burned for a long time. But as I said, the later Philcos and Zeniths, those are, you know, thinner wood, you know, veneer. And so, you know, they went up, you know, they went quick.
Yeah, like a Roman candle, right?
Yeah. As I like to say, they were, you know, these radios, you know, they were baked from the inside out in their own kiln. All the tubes and the, you know, with the varnish on the outside and all that. So
yeah,
real nice. That thing, I don't know what it was. There's a nice speaker cabinet that someone placed
Oh, that's
there.
a nice cabinet too.
I'm guessing, I don't know if that was a Klipsch or what, but it probably had some nice drivers in it at one point. But I think it had been sitting outside for a long time, so, without drivers. So I'm guessing they got borrowed for something else, and the guy kept the speaker cabinet outside, so it was there. So now they're getting ready to. I don't know what that was. Some sort of. I don't know if it was a home organ or something, but it burned for a good long time. Fast forward. See these lovely photos of it going up. Okay, so there's another shot of Death Row. So like someone was adding more things onto the pile from that van.
Oh, that's too bad. It looks like a few salvageable cabinets there.
Yeah, I said people were free to, you know,
Grab them before they go. Give them the safe execution.
Yeah, there was one set there that it was really nice shape. Someone tried to rescue the grill bars from it, but it was just not giving them up. I'm not sure what the story was. See, there's some old phonograph cabinet, I think, being added into the flames, and starts to go up. And yeah, let's see. Then the other side starts. Then someone put some firewood in the top of it for some inexplicable reason, like it needed any more incentive.
That's kind of an exercise in redundancy, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why they bothered. See, it's burning from the top, inside out. And
Thing cooking.
yeah. Yep. Some of these are sideways. And then over it goes.
And while you're still showing pictures, I'm gonna say one thing, and I'm gonna head on out of here. A week before Kutztown took place, they had a cannabis festival there in the same space. I'm not making this up. This actually happened.
I believe you.
There were 50,000 people there. So thus, when you had that picture earlier of the one-way sign, that was probably to steer people around.
That's
to get
funny.
around.
Okay.
That'd be too heavy to deal with.
Well, Bob, I just want to thank you for attending. Really appreciate the coverage of the Kutztown report here, and even the commentary on the stills. Since we're obviously going to be pushing off the art items on our agenda to next meeting, you'd be welcome to attend the next one. I can send you an invite if you'd like to attend to see what we did at our show.
Absolutely, I'd love to see that.
Great, I'll send you the invite. It'll be in 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
I hope I didn't take over this with my little.
No, it's Adam. It's fine. I honestly,
this is fun.
I didn't believe that we were going to cover the other items if we went through your pictures, because I thought there's all that material, lots of fun material. So I was fully expecting to push off the other items to the next meeting. So it's great.
I said there's a whole bunch more of this bonfire. I'll try to cut it off well before the end of the. I can cut it off now. I don't know how much more of this you guys want to see.
Well, I guess if it's just bonfire stuff, I guess this is probably a good wrapping point. But it's been great. You did a great job with all those pictures. It gave for those of us like myself who didn't go or haven't been to Kutztown, this is a great way to experience it. So maybe what we should do is, just as a last wrap up, is there anything we'd like to cover on Bill Dunn's radios, Tom? I'm just gonna pop you out there, Adam. And I don't know if anyone has any further thoughts on that, or do you want to pick it up over maybe email or so forth?
I guess we'll have to carry on by email and see what interest and capabilities we have.
We can bring it up since we're talking about September. We can bring it up at the next Zoom meeting again as well. Maybe some time for people to ruminate on it.
Well, Bill has somebody coming, I think he said, in a few days, and so that may solve the problem for us. I don't know.
That's right. But he expressed a little bit of concern of being overwhelmed by it. So, but right. Yeah, I guess we'll find out from him.
We'll see what happens, and I'll keep you informed. He'll keep you informed.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank everybody. I know we ran a little bit over, but it was a great report, and got a lot of great experiences here from Kutztown. And thanks to both Bob for indulging us, as well as Adam with his pictures. It was great. So I guess I will wrap up the meeting, and we will continue the agenda for the following one. All right, you guys have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Take care, guys. Thanks for having me over.
Oh yeah.
Now I gotta get out of this meeting and go to the New Jersey meeting that's happening in 5 minutes.
Okay, gotta get a break in there.
Yeah, no breaks here for this kid. Take
Adam,
care, guys.
come get your turntables.
Okay,
right.
I'll talk to you a little bit later on, Hugh. Hope I didn't traumatize everyone too much with.
Thank you.
That's why I said on the page, viewer discretion is advised.
Yeah, that's all right. You know what? That's a whole experience. You know, I probably have
it
to
is.
keep, you know.
That's
but
why we
many
call
thanks.
it the Burning Man of radio.
I was just gonna say that. Adam. Oh my gosh. Yes, I agree. Burning Man of radio.
All right, gentlemen. Take care of yourselves.
Take care.
Hi, Adrian. Take care.
See ya.
Have a good one.